Okay, so good afternoon or good morning sa inyong lahat. So, in this video, I will be discussing or maybe just reading sa food flow natin sa chapter 8. So, this is part of the semifinals and this will be part of your semifinals exam. So, ang pinakapunto natin dito is the food flow on kung paano ba natin ma-cater ang pagkain from purchasing to serving the food or maybe cooling to reheating. Anyway, the description or the definition of food flow is this. The flow of food describes what happens to the food from the time it enters the workplace until it is served to the customer. It refers to a process of purchasing, receiving, storing, preparing, cooking, holding, serving, cooling, and reheating that the food goes through in the food service facility. Itong food service facility natin, it can be the restaurant, the canteen, or maybe even the coffee shop. So each step in the flow of food is general food safety procedures that should be followed to help reduce the risk of contamination and mishandling, which could consequently lead to foodborne illness outbreaks. Ito yung mga sakit na pwede natin makuha kapag marumi ang pag-handle natin ng food. So this is the process ng food flow natin starting from purchasing to heating or reheating. Ayan, so starting from purchasing, bibilihin mo yung item. Pagka nabili mo na yung item, you will be receiving it. Kapag na-receive mo na, nakuha mo na yung item, i-store mo siya. And then towing, yung kapag after mo may store, gagamitin mo na and then prepare mo, iluluto mo na siya, tapos i-hold mo and then you will serve and then you will cool and then reheat. So, in this video, iisa-isahin natin siya. Maybe a little bit of explanation na lang so it can be clarified if you will be reading this na. First one, sa purchasing. The effective purchasing paves the way of a successful food service operation. Ano ibig sabihin na to? If gusto natin maging successful sa ating food industry or kung saan man tayo magbebenta, it can be sa restaurant natin or sa airlines, sa hotel, o kaya sa travel agency, sa simula pa lang, ang pinaka number one step na kailangan nating titignan is yung tinatawag natin na purchasing. Because based on our purchasing skills o kaya sa base sa pagbili pa lang natin ng item, malalaman na natin na yung pagkain na iluluto natin o yung serve natin sa mga tao will be good. Okay? Pero kapag sa simula pa lang, pangit na yung bibilihin mo, bumili ka na ng bulok, di mo alam tumingin ng bulok, no? Tapos bumili ka ng nabugbog, okay? So, maapektuhan yung quality ng pagkain natin doon. Okay. So, the main objective of an effective purchasing program are this. Number one, buy the product that is best suited for the job. So, kung ano yung nasa ingredients, yung kailangan bilhin, dapat yun yung bibilihin natin. Buy the proper quantity, dapat sakto lang. Huwag din yung sobrang-sobra. Kasi kapag sinobrahan natin, tapos hindi pala natin siya gagamitin in the long run, tatagal ng 10 araw, 15 days, 1 week, hindi magandang ano yun, hindi magandang senyales yun ng pagbili natin. Dahil there is a big chance or risk na masisira yung ingredients at hindi natin maluluto. And syempre, sa pagbili natin, no, dapat alam din natin kung ano yung tamang presyo. Kasi may mga pagkakataon na ginugulangan yung mga mamimili kasi hindi nila alam yung tamang presyo. Sometimes, hindi nila alam maghagal or makipagtawaran. And para hindi na natin masyadong iisipin itong 1, 2, 3, mas maganda sa number 4 na kilalanin natin yung pagbibilihan natin. Maganda yung reputasyon at siguradong maasahan natin yung tinatawag natin na quality. Both quantity and quality. So purchase specifications are important to both the buyer and the management. The following are the guidelines that details the characteristics of a product. Number one, yung quality grade, kung gaano kaganda yung item na binibili natin, gaano siya kabigat at ilan yung bibilihin natin. And syempre, yung mga contents ng bibilihin natin, kung ano-ano yung mga laman, And then the packaging itself, titignan natin kung maganda ba yung packaging, kung may butas ba, kung may sira ba, kung may umbok ba, o kaya matagal na yung expiry date or matagal na siya expire. Okay. So, sa pagbili natin, dapat alam natin yung regulations sa pagkain. Alam natin dapat kung paano yung ano yung mga nakakasira sa environment and ano yung nakakasama sa atin and ano yung mga pwedeng kainin, ano yung mga hindi. Okay, maganda rin na kapag mga processed meats yung mga bibilihin natin, alam natin kung kailan siya sira at kung kailan hindi. Kung kailan pwede pa at kung kailan sira na. Okay, kapag, for example, kapag yung isda bloated na siya or reddish na yung mata, hindi na pwede yun. And kapag yung karne sobrang tigas na tapos nangingitim na, hindi na rin pwede yun. Diba? Okay, kapag yung manok naman parang nabugbog, syempre sira na yun. Dapat, ito yung pwede ninyong tandaan kapag bumibili kayo. One way to see or to know yung ingredients na bibilihin natin na malinis pa siya is kapag vibrant pa yung color, parang maganda pa yung kulay niya. Pero kapag nag-iba na, masyado ng darken, uh, yun yung palatandaan na pasira na or maybe sira na. Okay, responsibility of a food service manager. Kailangan mag-implement siya. Mag-implement siya ng mga specifications or mga guidelines kung ano-ano yung mga bibilhin. Okay, coordinate syempre doon sa mamimili and sa mga receiving party. Yung receiving party kasi, if you will remember itong part na to, di ba? Iba't ibang step yan. So, unang pinag-usapan natin is purchasing. So, kapag bibili ka, you should always remember na bibili ka sa reputable source and bibilihin mo ay syempre maganda yung quality. And then after you purchase that receiving or tatanggapin mo na, if ever man natatanggapin mo doon mismo sa pinagbilhan mo o kaya i-deliver sa inyong restaurant, there are some procedures na kailangan natin tandaan. And if you can remember, yung na-share ko sa inyo noon na FIFO, FIFO means first in, first out. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung una mong binili, yun yung una mong iluluto or yun yung unang lalabas. So, receiving. Dito sa receiving natin, meron tayong tinatawag na general principles. Itong general principles na to, kapag tinanggap na natin yung item, ano kaya yung mga kailangan natin tandaan para yung mga item or yung mga pagkain na binili natin ay hindi masisira agad. Number 1, receive only one delivery at a time from approved suppliers. Ibig sabihin, kapag may magde-deliver sa atin, huwag natin sila pagsasabay-sabayin dahil may pagkakataon na magkakaroon ng mix-up. Kapag nagkaroon ng mix-up and wala tayo yung order slip, baka malaki ang bayaran natin and pwedeng masalisahan tayo, kunin nila yung magandang item at iiwan nila sa atin yung pangit na item. Number 2, check to make sure frozen goods is solid and does not show any evidence of thawing and refusing. So, ibig sabihin na to, yung mga frozen goods, halimbawa, yung isda, yung mga red meat, no? If pinipreserve natin yung mga yan. Kapag nagkaroon kasi ng thawing or refreezing, there is a big chance na may bacteria na yung i-deliver sa atin. Kapag meron ng bacteria yon, magkakaroon tayo ng foodborne illness or magkakaroon tayo ng sakit, lagnat kapag hindi yun na kapag napakain natin sa mga tao. Lalong-lalo na kapag yung tao mahina yung resistensya niya. Okay, number 3, record the date received and if applicable, kung merong expiration date yung receive natin, isulat natin siya. And remove the PHF, yung hazardous na food. Okay, ilalagay natin siya sa safe temperature. Ang safe temperature natin is below 5 degrees and then above 61 degrees Celsius. Kapag below 5 degrees, ini-store pa lang natin. Kapag above 61, parang iniluluto na natin. Okay? Check to ensure the refrigerated foods are received below 5 degrees para hindi mag-multiply ang bacteria. accept only pasteurized dairy product, reject PHF that are not acceptable uh, temperature, and cans with swelled tops. Ibig sabihin ng swelled tops is yung parang lumobo na yung ibabaw, yung sa ilalim, yung merong butas sa gilid, may leakage, and then yung flawed yung seal parang nabuksan, wag na rin nating tatanggapin kapag merong ano bang Tagalog ng rust, kalawang, and then kapag may dent or baliko, parang nasuntok, napiklo, parang ganun. And then number 8 is evaluate the quality of the product na ibinigay sa atin. If okay ba yung kanyang tingin, if okay ba yung kanyang amoy, and if okay ba yung kanyang texture. Kapag hindi okay yun, wag nating tatanggapin. Okay, and the same would be true if we will be receiving frozen goods. The same process, kunin natin yung item. Kapag okay yung item, ilipat natin yung item sa or yung goods sa refrigeration natin or refrigerator natin na dapat below 5 degrees para maging maayos yung storing natin. So ito receiving pa lang to kasi after receiving the food or after receiving the goods, next na dyan is yung storing. Itong storing na to, ito yung parang itatago pa lang natin dahil hindi pa natin siya gagamitin or hindi pa natin siya iluluto. All foods, lahat, okay, chemicals and supplies should be stored in a manner that ensures quality and maximizes the safety of the food served to the customer. Hindi tayo pwedeng tinanggap natin yung karne, tapos tinanggap natin yung isda, tapos tinanggap natin yung gulay, tapos pagtatabi-tabihin lang natin sila. Hindi magandang practice yun kasi nga ang pinaka-iniiwasan natin kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng ganitong purchasing or food flow is yung tinatawag natin na contamination. Nakamamatay man ito o hindi, kailangan natin yung iwasan. So, all food chemicals, cold storing, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, kailangan yung refrigerator natin is below 5 degrees or para hindi mag-multiply yung bacteria. At kapag above 61 degrees naman, yun yung parang iluluto na natin siya. Ang walk-in refrigerator, yan yung papasok tayo sa isang parang malaking kwarto na refrigerator lang. And then, yung karaniwan na refrigerator natin or freezer natin is yung upright, yung patayo. Okay. Storing or storage upon receiving. Place the food in the proper storage area. Okay. Quickly to avoid bacterial growth. Yan sinasabi ko kanina. Kailangan ilagay kaagad natin sa storage area para hindi lumaki or lumaganap, mag-multiply ang bacteria. So, dapat lower than 5 degrees Celsius. And then, kapag deep chilled naman, yung talagang patatagalin natin, dapat below 0 to -3. So, kapag sa freezer naman, obviously below -17. And then, kapag mga humid yung mga natin, yung mga i-store natin, parang medyo mainit, okay, 10 degrees Celsius, 21 degrees Celsius, at 50 to 60% humidity. Itong humidity yung parang atmosphere level nito. Okay, so meron tayong dalawang goods or dalawang foods. Meron tayong frozen goods at saka dry goods. Dito sa frozen goods, yun yung mga nag-yellow, dry goods. Pwede natin masabi yung mga canned goods natin dahil dry naman sila. Okay. Remember to keep all food items on the shelf that are at least above 6 inches from the floor. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng items natin na pagkain dapat hindi dapo sa sahig. 6 inches above dapat siya. So, store foods away from direct sunlight. Wag nating pagpaarawan. And then yung mga chemicals natin, yung mga paglinis natin, wag natin pagsasamahin ang chemicals sa panlinis and then yung pagkain. So, rotate the goods when placing them in the storage by placing the new item behind old ones to ensure that the older items are used. Okay, ito yung sinabi ko kanina na FIFO. Ibig sabihin ng FIFO is first in, first out. Yung una nating ipinasok, yun yung una nating gagamitin. And then kapag may bago tayong supply, yung mga natira nung nakaraan, lalagyan natin sa harap and then yung mga bago doon sa pinakalikod. Make sure all goods are dated. Ibig sabihin, alam natin kung kailan yung expiration date. at kung kailan masisira yung pagkain. And then, store the food in their original container. Huwag tayong palipat-lipat. Okay, if ever man na may bubuksan tayo, mas maganda kung gamitin natin yun lahat. Okay, store PHF no longer than 7 days and at a 5 degrees Celsius from the date of preparation. 7 days, that is 1 week. Store pesticides and chemicals away from the food handling and storage area. Yung mga chemicals natin dapat malayo sa pinaglulutuan or pinaglalagyan ng pagkain. So, storeroom sanitation, ito yung shelf na pwede nating sundan. So, ito yung top shelf natin and then dito yung bottom shelves. Ito yung pwede nating sundin para kapag sa preparation area natin ay mas madali lang makuha. So, sa top shelf natin, dyan natin ilalagay yung mga ready to eat na. Mabilis nang kainin. Ready nang kainin or mabilis na lang iluto. And then next level natin is yung fish and seafoods. After that is the raw beef. After that is the raw pork. And then after that is the processed meats. And then yung pinakababa o bottom shelf natin is the raw poultry. Okay. Kaya ito rin yung isang tatandaan natin. Never store or overcrowd the freezer or the refrigerator kasi there will be chances na magdidikit sila and the bacteria could also reproduce at magpaparami sila. Okay, and never store the food beyond the expiration date. Although yung expiration date is hindi pa talaga yun yung expiration date, meron pang extension, pero wag nating sasanayin na lalampas doon. And always check the temperature ng ating refrigerator or ng storeroom para hindi hindi dumami yung bacteria. Okay? Okay. Responsibilities of the food service manager. Number 1, check the logs. Tignan niya yung record kung kailan, saan, at ano yung pagkain na or supply na unang pumasok. Review the logs and then tignan yung mga temperature and then i-correct lahat ng mga documents na kailangang ayusin and then ipa-file yung log with the HACCP record or Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. Yung HACCP natin will be discussed or this will be your finals. Final requirement is magsasend kayo ng HACCP record. It is recorded sa ating study guide number 9. So, towing. Itong towing naman, it is the process of warming food that has been frozen, katulad ng meat, poultry, fish, or seafood, so that the food can be ready for cooking and be eaten or be prepared para ma-serve na yung pagkain. So all foods should be taught using the appropriate o kaya yung tamang practice para hindi mag-cause ng health hazard. Okay, ito yung steps natin for towing. Remember ang una nating ginawa is binili natin yung pagkain. Pangalawa, ini-receive natin, and pangatlo, ini-store natin. So, pagkatapos nating i-store at ready na nating iluto, ito na yung towing. Okay? Use one of the 3 acceptable methods for towing. Number 1, tow foods in the refrigerator at 5 degrees Celsius or below. Never tow food at room temperature. Bakit? Kasi kapag room temperature, mas mabilis dumami ang bacteria. Tow food that is needed for immediate service under potable water at 21 degrees or lower. Prepare the product within 4 hours of towing. Ibig sabihin nito, ibababad natin yung pagkain sa water temperature na 21 degrees Celsius and then dapat within the 4 hours na itinaw natin siya, mailuto na natin siya. Next is tow the product in the microwave if needed lang. Dahil ang towing kapag sa microwave natin is not always advisable. Pero if ever man na kailangan natin gawin, kailangan immediate or agad-agad na natin siyang iluluto. Number 2, use the lowest shelf in the cooler for towing raw meat to prevent cross-contamination. and separate raw product from cooked foods or cooked and ready-to-eat products, and do not freeze thawed food unless they are cooked or processed. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, kung ano na natin, napatuyo na natin or nailuto na natin, no? Ay halimbawa, kakukuha mo no, yung isda. Yung isda is may yellow-yellow siya. Tapos ano natin, ibinabad natin, itinode na natin siya. And then sobra pala yung yung item. And then naisip mo na ay sobra pala, kaya kailangan ko siyang ibalik sa freezer. Kailangan ko siyang i-store ulit. Ang sabi dito, which is totoo din naman, wag nating sasanayin yung tinanggal mo na yung ice, dinefrost mo na siya, tapos hindi mo pala gagamitin, ibabalik mo. Hindi pwede yun kasi there's a big chance na yung microorganisms or the bacteria are already alive and kicking, and then may possibility na dumami na ulit sila. And yeah, freeze mo lang, and then pati yung bacteria na dumami, nandun na rin sa freezer. Okay? So after thawing, we have the preparing. So ibig sabihin ng preparing is that we'll be preparing the food for service. Okay? The preparation and service of foods can involve one or more steps, regardless of how many steps may be involved in the food production and service. We have to remember that foodborne illnesses or illness prevention requires effective food safety measures to ensure a good personal hygiene and avoid cross-contamination and temperature abuse. During preparation, an important technique that can be used to promote safety is small batch preparation. Okay, ibig sabihin ng small batch is uunti-untiin natin siya at hindi natin dadamihan kaagad yung ipine-prepare natin para maging maayos yung at mailuto natin siya ng maayos. Okay? Food preparation is usually done at a room temperature. This is several degrees into the temperature danger zone. Ibig sabihin, 60, mababa ng konti, mga 40, ganon, 40 degrees Celsius. The amount of time the food is in danger zone should be limited by working with small and manageable amounts of potentially hazardous ingredients, yung mga mabilis masira, mabilis madumihan, or mabilis mag-grow ang bacteria. Okay? Guidelines in preparing safe food. Number 1 is start with clean, wholesome foods from a reputable supplier. Number 2, handle food as little as possible. As much as possible, wag nating hahawakan yung pagkain. Hawakan lang natin yung ingredients kapag kinakailangan. Kung kaya namang gamitan ng tong, yung pang-ipit, spatula, or other utensils, gamitin natin yon. And syempre, dapat yung working table din natin is sanitized. If you can remember, yung pinagkaiba ng cleaning and sanitize, ang cleaning is linisan natin yung mga areas na kaya natin makita. And then yung sanitize naman is we are cleaning the areas na even the microorganisms or the bacteria will be killed or removed. And number 4, clean as you go. Do not wait to clean the workplace until the end of the workday, or habang nagluluto ka, dapat alam mo rin maghugas. Yan. Okay? Wash raw fruits and vegetables thoroughly kasi yung iba dyan merong pesticides. When bringing foods out refrigeration, do not bring out more than what can be processed in an hour. Ibig sabihin, dapat nasa within time frame pa rin tayo. Okay, keep food covered whenever possible unless in immediate use. Do not mix leftover. Huwag daw natin pagkasamahin yung tira-tira sa mga bagong luto na pagkain. Palamigin natin lahat ng ingredients. Okay, chill all ingredients for protein and potato salads before combining yung mga bago natin pagsamahin yung mga ingredients, dapat cool muna sila. Keeping food out of the temperature danger zone. So yung danger zone natin dyan is 5 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. So you should never store foods that is between 5 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. And never cook food below 60 degrees Celsius. Dapat above. Okay? Ito yung mga ano natin, mga gamit natin na gamitin natin for the temperature ng food natin. Una is yung bimetal instant read. Ayan yung ano niya, ayan yung reading niya. Makikita mo diyan kaagad yung reading ng temperature ng pagkain. Usually used for meat yan. And then ito yung thermocouple, yung tusok natin yan sa pagkain, sa meat, para maraman din yung temperature. And then next is bimetal oven safe. Ito yung makikita ninyo sa mga oven na nasa loob. And then the digital, tinutusok din ito and yeah. And then next is yung infrared. Kung maalala ninyo, yung infrared na to ginamit natin sa mga tao yung times ng COVID, yung malala pa yung COVID. And then oven thermometer, yun yung ilalagay din natin yan sa loob. Okay. So next naman is preparing cold food. Ito yung tatandaan natin. Temperatures of all cold food should be taken during preparations to ensure the safety of all food served. Food must be prepared using appropriate practices and procedures to ensure safety and sanitation. Here is the way on how to prepare cold foods. Number one, take temperatures. Use a calibrated temperature para sa mga PHF or potentially hazardous foods. And wipe the temperature kapag nagamit na natin, linisan natin siya, and then record the temperature. Okay, preparing cold food, dapat pre-chilled siya below 5 degrees Celsius, and discard na natin yung mga food na hindi natin na-prepare within 4 hours dahil potentially yan ay contaminated na. Maintain food contact surfaces. Ibig sabihin nito, when possible, use color coding ng mga chopping board natin or cutting board. Red for raw meat, green for vegetables and vegetable or fruits, and then yellow naman kapag raw poultry. May mga pagkakataon for mga fish is mga puti. Okay? Food contact surfaces should be smooth, hindi rough. Dahil kapag rough, pwedeng sumabit yung pagkain or yung piniprepare natin. And ito yung sinasabi ko, clean and sanitize as you go. Preparing foods. Okay? Prepare foods at a room temperature in 2 hours or less. The food items should be returned to the refrigerator in cases where it cannot be used at once. The total time of food at room temperature should not exceed 4 hours. Prepare raw products away from other products. Ito yung sinabi natin kanina na huwag natin pagsasamahin yung mga nagamit na, yung naluto na, at saka yung hindi pa luto. Clean and sanitize all surfaces. Clean as you go. Next is cooking. Obviously, we already have an idea what is cooking and then how do we do cooking. And then, so una, binili natin, tinanggap natin, itinago natin, tinaw natin, and then prepare natin, and then number 6 is iluluto na natin. So sa pagluluto, obviously kailangan ang surface ng paglulutuan natin is hot surface. Okay, preparing hot foods, hot surface dapat yung paglulutuan natin. Okay, we should avoid overcooking, and then dapat kung kakayanin, lagi natin binabantayan ang temperature ng mga pagkain na niluluto natin. Ito yung kadalasang time or temperature na gamit natin. So sa mga manok, poultry, 74 degrees in 15 seconds. Stuffing, 75 degrees. Then PHF, potentially hazardous food, is 74 degrees then 2 minutes. And then ground flakes, 15 seconds. Dapat tatagal at least 15 seconds itong mga to. Basahin nyo na lang siya isa-isa dahil the same lang naman, and no need for explanation for that. And then next is holding. Holding, okay? Once the food is heated, naluto na natin, the food must be maintained at a holding temperature to limit growth of bacteria. The correct hot holding temperature is 60 degrees. Kasi kapag niluluto mo, above 60 degrees na yan. Pero kapag holding mo na, best temperature is 60 degrees. Once food has been reheated, the potential or growth of pathogens and bacteria is greater than the potential in raw foods. Kaya nga hindi na natin i-refrigerator sana yung mga naluto na kasi may possibility na bacteria mas mabilis mag-grow. Okay, holding of hot food. Number one, prepare and cook only food as much as needed. Huwag magluluto at magtitira kapag hindi pa naman kakainin, wala pa naman kakain, o hindi pa isa-serve. Use hot holding equipments that can keep hot foods 60 degrees or higher. Follow the manufacturer's instruction in using hot holding equipments. Keep food covered to retain heat and to keep contaminants from falling into the food. Obviously, tatakpan natin para hindi mahulugan ng foreign object. Measure the temperature. Okay, discard food that are 4 hours lying na and hindi kinakain at nakatunganga lang or naka-open area lang dahil may chance na may bacteria na yun. Okay, do not mix freshly prepared food with food being held for service. Do not add raw food to cook foods and stir food para hindi siya mamuo at mag-even pa rin yung heat. For holding cold foods naman, use cold holding equipments that can keep cold foods below 5 degrees Celsius. Almost the same procedure, i-keep mo sa proper time and then disregard kapag 4 hours and above na. And then dito, hold natin for 60 degrees and then dito naman 5 degrees Celsius kapag cold na. And then for serving, ito yung tatandaan natin, kapag serving, dapat isa-serve natin yung food na may takip. And then, dapat malinis yung pinaglagyan natin ng plato, malinis yung yung tray, okay? And then malinis yung mga utensils, the silverwares, everything should be clean and sanitized. Okay. Once food has been prepared for serving, it will no longer undergo any heat treatment. It is therefore important not to recontaminate the food by practicing proper serving procedures or methods that would assure the consumer's safety and hygienic na pagkain. Cleaning and sanitation, number one, clean the area and around the service line using warm soapy waters and clean cloth. Thoroughly rinse it after cleaning. Sanitize the area and around the service line using approved sanitizer. Wipe down the area before serving or service begins as needed throughout the service, and clothes used for cleaning food soils, yung mga nabuhos na pagkain, should not be used for anything else. Kung basahan lang, kung panghawak lang, kung pangtuyo ng basang utensils para doon lang. Basically. Okay, service utensils, sanitize. Okay, obviously personal hygiene. Pinag-usapan natin sa chapter 6. And then when we serve, dapat we serve serve at a proper temperature. And then cooling, last two. So for cooling naman, cooling is a process of removing heat from food quickly enough to prevent microbial growth. Okay. One method is by placing food in a shallow container no deeper than 2 inches and leaving them undercooked. Okay, undercooked until 5 degrees Celsius or below. When PHF is cooled for an extended period of time, ayan na yung pwede na mag-grow yung bacteria. Kaya tandaan ninyo palagi, 5 degrees Celsius below or 60 degrees Celsius above, yan yung safe temperature natin. Pero, kapag yung temperature ng pagkain natin is 21 to 49 at hindi natin na-consume kaagad, pwedeng dyan na mag-grow yung mga bacteria. Okay? There are two acceptable methods of cooling outline. Okay, it is below. Ito yung nakasulat. There are two acceptable methods of cooling outline below. Number one is one stage. Number two is two stage. First one is called cool hat. Okay, cook foods from 57 to 5 degrees Celsius within 4 hours using an appropriate method. Take the temperature after 4 hours to make sure that the appropriate temperature was reached and then reheat. Second stage, second method naman for cooling. Okay, take temperature and then submerge natin yung food. Factors that affect how quickly foods cool down. Ang sabi dito, mga pagkakataon na kung saan bumibilis ang pag-cool down ng pagkain. Either bumibilis or bumabagal. Number one is the size of the food. Okay, the thickness of the food or distance to the center plays the biggest part on how fast food cools. Kapag mas malaki, mas matagal, lalong lalagay sa ilalim. Pag mas maliit, mas madali. Density, ibig sabihin ng density is yung kapal. No? Halimbawa, kung isipin mo, mas malaki ang cotton candy kaysa sa max candy. Pero that is just the size. Yung density kapag i-compact mo sila, mas matigas at mas dense ang candy na max maliit kaysa sa cotton candy dahil marami siyang area. Kaya mas madaling mag-cool ang mga pagkain na lower ang density. Okay, next is the container in the food. Kapag stainless steel transfers heat from food faster than plastic. Initially, loosely wrap the food items. The shallow pan allow the heat from the food to disperse faster than the deep pan. Ibig sabihin, pwede natin gamitin yung stainless steel at doon natin papalamigin yung pagkain. And then the size of the container, obviously, the size of the food and then the size of the container works as a good factor para lumamig yung food natin. Food may not move through the temperature danger zone fast enough. Okay, if it is still hot when placed in the refrigerator or freezer or kept in bulk. Okay. Methods for cooling foods naman dito. Reduce the quantity of the food being cooled. Okay, kapag sobrang laki, palitan pa natin siya. Next, use chiller to cool the food before placing it to the refrigerated storage. Hindi naman, you can use ice water bath or add ice or water sa ingredients. O kaya naman, use steam jacket, okay, kettle as cooler. Or stir the food to cool them faster. Or i-stir, na pagtagalog ng stir, halu-haluin. Okay, lastly is the reheating. Reheating is the thermal process or gumagamit tayo ng heat para ang pagkain ay maluto ulit. Okay, reheating is the thermal process to heat foods that have been previously cooked and cooled. Okay, in a food service establishment, proper reheating can eliminate major portion of pathogens as long as the food is heated to 74 degrees Celsius within the 2 hours. The more a food is processed, the greater the risk ng contamination. Kaya kapag hindi natin makakain kaagad, wag muna natin iluluto ang batch. In short, magluto lang ng kayang ubusin within the 4 hours dahil kapag lumampas na within the 4 hours, there's a big chance na yung pagkain is makontaminate. So, mga pagkakataon para hindi makontaminate yung food. Number one, huwag natin pagsasamahin ang leftover or kapag may tira, wag na natin i-preserve. Okay, for cold temperatures naman, check the food temperature using calibrated thermometer to make sure that it's lower than 5 degrees Celsius. Reheat the food over oven, stove, steamer, or anything man na pwedeng pag-reheat na ang reading is 75 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. Okay? And then the goal is to remove the food from the danger zone. Ano yung danger zone? Ulitin ko. Ang danger zone natin is 5 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. And then after that, serve natin yung food kaagad para hindi na magkaroon ng pagkakataon yung bacteria na dumami at makain na kaagad ng customer natin yung pagkain nila. Okay, check the temperature of the food before serving the food and then discard any potentially hazardous food that are in the temperature danger zone. Okay. And lastly, for transportation ng food, yeah, with transportation of goods or foods, the popularity of temporarily and mobile facility. Ibig sabihin na ito, mga street foods, mga festivals, or even the ano yung mga turo natin dyan sa labas, o kaya mga food truck natin, para ma-transport natin yung mga pagkain natin na maayos, dapat ma-store natin sila ng tama. Okay. So this time naman, you will have the responsibility to read the transportation of foods. Okay. Ayan siya. So please understand and remember key points po dito. Okay. So that would be all. Hopefully, kahit paano meron kayong natutunan, and I hope you understand the lesson and then ma-apply ninyo ito when you are working. Just key points, lagi nating tandaan, balik tayo sa umpisa. When buying, wait lang. Okay. So, balik tayo sa umpisa. Ito, when buying, always buy from a reputable source and then dapat alamin din natin kung paano tumingin ng sira na o hindi pa. So when receiving the food, we should be receiving it at a good condition. Huwag natin tatanggapin yung mga pagkain o yung mga binili natin na may sira o kaya may dent. So kapag natanggap na natin, i-store kaagad natin sila. Kapag cold food yan, below 5 degrees Celsius. Kapag gusto na natin iluto, above 6 degrees Celsius and over 74 degrees Celsius over 15 seconds para ma-ensure natin na yung niluluto natin ay away from bacteria na or patay na yung bacteria na nakatira doon or yung nabubuhay doon. So thawing naman, ito yung in-store natin siya and then gusto na natin tanggalin yung tubig doon sa nag-yellow nga siya, diba? And then after that, i-prepare na natin, i-misinfluence na natin siya. So kapag okay na na-misinfluence na natin, na-prepare na natin siya sa tamang conditions ng temperature ng room, pwede na natin iluto. At kapag naluto na natin, i-hold na natin, ibig sabihin ng i-hold is i-ready na natin siya i-serve. And then kapag i-serve na natin, dapat may cover and proper temperature pa din. So cooling is cooling the food and then reheating is reheating the food. So that would be all. I hope kahit na medyo mahaba, mabilis ang discussion, it is direct and you understand the discussion. So, after this, please, buksan na ninyo yung quiz and you only have a certain allotted time for that. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you. Bye.